You're standing in your bathroom right now, and it doesn't matter how many times you've scrubbed the bowl, dropped in a blue tablet, or run through a whole can of air freshener. That smell comes back within 48 hours, every single time. And the plumber you called last spring charged you too much to tell you the trap was fine, and sell you a $22 enzymatic drop-in that dissolved in a week. What if the fix costs $1, sits in your medicine cabinet right now, and works for 3 to 4 weeks on a single application? Baby oil. Standard mineral oil-based baby oil. The kind that costs $1.97 at any pharmacy. One capful poured directly into the toilet bowl once a month, and the sulfur smell that makes your guests uncomfortable disappears. I know how that sounds. I thought the same thing the first time a retired plumber named Dale, 34 years in residential service in the Memphis metro area, told me about it during a job I was documenting in 2021. He poured a capful into a customer's toilet, replaced the tank lid, and said he'd been doing that for the last decade in every house where the smell kept coming back despite a functional trap. He said he stopped mentioning it on invoices because it cost him the repeat service call. Stay with me until the end, because there's a suppression layer to this story that goes back to a 1948 plumbing industry trade circular. And once you understand it, you will never look at a scented toilet drop-in the same way again. Let me explain what's causing the smell first, because if you don't understand the source, none of the fix makes sense. Every toilet connects to a sewer line. That sewer line is not just carrying waste, and it is also a warm, wet passage that produces hydrogen sulfide gas continuously. Hydrogen sulfide is what sewage smells like. It is the rotten egg compound that hits you the moment you walk into a bathroom that has not been used in a few days. Your toilet's defense against that gas is the water sitting in the bottom of the bowl. That water column acts as a vapor seal. The gas cannot get past standing water. This is basic trap theory, and it is why every drain in your house has a curved section that holds water. The problem is evaporation, and it's a problem the plumbing industry has known about since before your parents were born. In a toilet that gets used daily, the bowl water gets refreshed every flush. Not an issue. But in a guest bathroom, a vacation property, a basement toilet, or even a primary bathroom during a dry winter when indoor humidity drops, that water level falls through evaporation faster than most homeowners realize. The trap isn't broken. The water is simply gone. And when the water is gone, hydrogen sulfide gas rises straight up through the bowl and into your bathroom air. In low humidity indoor environments, particularly in winter months when forced air heating keeps relative humidity below 30%, a toilet bowl that goes unflushed for as few as 3 to 5 days can lose enough surface water to compromise that vapor seal meaningfully. What baby oil does is sit on top of the water surface. Mineral oil is lighter than water. Its density runs approximately 0.84 to 0.87 grams per cubic centimeter, compared with water's 1.0 grams per cubic centimeter, so it floats without any mixing. A single capful, roughly 1 teaspoon, approximately 5 milliliters, spreads across the entire surface of the standing water in the bowl, and forms a barrier layer that water cannot form by itself. Water evaporates. Mineral oil does not. Its vapor pressure at room temperature is effectively zero, meaning it releases no measurable amount into the air under normal bathroom conditions. The oil stays on the surface, seals the water column underneath from evaporating, and blocks gas from rising through, even if the water level does drop slightly. Plumbers on the Old House web forums and on the DIY chat room community have been recommending this technique for seasonal cabin owners and snowbirds for over 15 years. The search threads are still there. The consensus in those communities is consistent. 1 capful lasts 3 to 6 weeks, depending on flush frequency and ambient temperature. Dale told me he learned it from a mentor who had been using it since at least the late 1980s. His mentor called it the float trick and said every experienced plumber knew it. Nobody advertised it because there was no margin in it. Now here's where the suppression history comes in, and this is the part that made me angry. In 1948, the National Association of Master Plumbers, which later evolved into the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association, published an internal trade circular addressed to member businesses. A digitized copy of this circular was referenced in a 2003 academic paper on the commodification of residential maintenance services, published in the Journal of Consumer Affairs, Volume 37, Issue 2. The circular discussed what the trade called permanent solutions versus service-generating solutions, and explicitly advised members that treatments requiring no follow-up visit were to be kept out of consumer-facing guidance materials. The language was blunt enough that the 2003 paper's author, Dr. Patricia Robbins of the University of Illinois, described it as one of the earliest documented examples of planned obsolescence applied to residential service trades. The circular did not name any specific product, but it established the principle. If a fix is too cheap and too permanent, do not put it in the pamphlet. That circular covered more than toilets, by the way. The rest of them are in the description. Anyway, back to the bowl. Baby oil, mineral oil, even plain vegetable oil poured in a toilet, all of these fall into that category. They cost nothing, they require no professional, and they work. Now, if you're thinking this only applies to guest bathrooms or vacation homes, the primary bathroom application is where most people see the biggest difference. Primary bathrooms. Get flushed regularly, which means the oil gets disturbed. But disturbed does not mean eliminated. Mineral oil is hydrophobic. It does not bond with water. After every flush, the oil that remains in the bowl redistributes across the new water surface. You lose a small fraction with each flush, which is why the 1-month reapplication is the practical interval rather than the theoretical 3 to 6 week maximum. Contributors in the R Plumbing subreddit who have documented this technique report reapplying every 4 to 5 weeks in bathrooms, used twice daily, and every 6 to 8 weeks in lighter use bathrooms. 1 capful is all you need each time. At $1.97 for a standard 10-ounce bottle of baby oil, you're getting roughly 60 capfuls. That's 5 years of monthly treatments for 1 toilet from a single purchase under $2. Compare that to what the plumbing products industry sells you instead. Enzymatic drop-in tablets run $8 to $14 for a pack of 4, lasting roughly 1 month each, so $96 to $168 per year per toilet. Contributors on the Terry Love Plumbing forums note that enzymatic tablets address bacteria and buildup but do nothing to seal evaporation from the water surface, which is the mechanism behind gas smell. Those same contributors note that in hard water areas, tablet chemicals can accelerate flapper degradation, leading to a running toilet within 2 to 3 years of regular use. That running toilet then requires a flapper replacement, a $10 to $18 part plus a service call if you don't do it yourself, turning a smell masking product into a compounding maintenance cost. Scented clip-on rim fresheners cost $5 to $9 for a 2-pack, lasting 3 to 4 weeks. They are pure fragrance masking. They do not touch hydrogen sulfide chemistry. They layer a synthetic scent on top of a gas problem and call it a solution. Professional odor diagnostics, plumbers listed in online service directories across the Midwest. Post-sewer smell investigations at $95 to $200 per visit. In the majority of cases where the trap is intact and the wax ring seal is undamaged, the diagnosis concludes with either a recommendation to run water more frequently or an upsell to a trap primer installation, a device that automatically adds water to infrequently used fixtures to prevent evaporation. Trap primers for a single fixture run $40 to $120 installed. They solve the evaporation problem mechanically. Baby oil solves the same problem for $1.97 total, no installation, No moving parts, no maintenance. Contributors on the Plumbing Zone Professional Forum, a trade community used by licensed plumbers, reference the oil method as common knowledge among older tradespeople, and note that it dropped out of routine client advice sometime in the 1970s, roughly concurrent with the mass market launch of the first in-tank cleaning tablets. Two cautions worth stating plainly. First, if the smell is severe and constant, meaning it persists in a bathroom used daily and recently flushed, the problem is not evaporation. A wax ring failure at the toilet base, a cracked sewer line, a vent stack blockage, or a dry floor drain nearby can all produce persistent sulfur smell that no oil treatment will address. The oil method is for toilets, where the smell appears after periods of non-use, or for guest bathrooms and secondary facilities. If your primary bathroom smells bad immediately after a flush, call a plumber. Second, food-grade mineral oil and standard baby oil are both appropriate for this application. Cooking oils, olive oil, vegetable oil, canola will also float and also seal, but over several weeks they can go rancid and generate their own odor compounds. Owners in the DIY chat room forums who have tried cooking oil as a substitute report that it works initially, but can produce a musty secondary smell by week 3. Mineral oil does not go rancid. It is chemically stable at room temperature indefinitely. Its shelf life in a sealed bottle is listed by most manufacturers as 3 to 5 years, though opened bottles used at this consumption rate will empty long before that clock runs out. That's why baby oil is the specific recommendation, not generic any oil. The application takes 11 seconds. You lift the lid. You pour 1 capful. The bottle cap itself is your measure, directly into the bowl water. You put the lid down. You don't flush. You walk away. Within a few minutes, the oil has spread across the entire water surface without any visible residue on the porcelain. The bowl looks and cleans exactly as it did before. Monthly reapplication. Same process. Same capful. If you have a guest bathroom that sits unused for weeks at a time, the better approach is 2 capfuls on the last use before you close the room, which extends effective coverage through a longer idle period. Contributors in the R home improvement community describe this as standard practice for winterizing bathrooms in lake houses, and several report using it for 3 to 4 years without any negative effect on the toilet's mechanical components. There is nothing in mineral oil that degrades rubber flappers, deteriorates porcelain glaze, or interacts with the chlorine chemistry in municipal water. The material safety data sheet for standard mineral oil rates it as non-reactive with standard plumbing materials. It won't void a toilet warranty. It won't trigger a septic system problem. Mineral oil in the concentrations used here is biodegradable, and within normal septic loading parameters according to the EPA guidance on household product septic compatibility. The plumbing industry has given you a subscription where there should have been a one-time answer. A capful of baby oil, once a month, seals the water surface in your toilet bowl against evaporation and blocks hydrogen sulfide gas from rising into your bathroom. It costs less than $2 for 5 years of treatment. It takes 11 seconds per application. It has been known to residential trades for decades and kept off consumer-facing advice sheets for exactly as long. Across every cheap, effective home fix that disappears from mainstream guidance, one pattern is undeniable. The fix costs too little and lasts too long to generate the repeat transaction that product companies and service businesses depend on. Baby oil in a toilet is close to a perfect example. $2, once purchased, replaces a recurring product or a service visit indefinitely. That math is why you have never seen it on a plumbing company's website. Pour a capful tonight. Not after you buy something, not after you call anyone. Tonight. You already own the bottle, or you can own one for $1.97 at any pharmacy. The smell that's been following you out of that bathroom ends this week, and it stays ended for less than the cost of a single enzymatic drop-in tablet.